Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the second practical phase simulation. Today, we won't have a mini lecture done by Dr. Vaz, but as you may see, we have Dr. Anshu Arora that will be hosting the mini lecture of Borders 5 Force. So thank you, Dr. Shu, for joining us today. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. I am Dr. Anshu Arora. I'm the Associate Professor of Marketing at the University of the District of Columbia in Washington, D.C., School of Business and Public Administration. So a little bit about my university. Ours is, the university comes under DC government. We have the Urban Land Grant University, the only urban land grant university in the nation, and that in the nation's capital. So obviously there are lots of onlys for the UDC or the University of the District of Columbia, and I'm very happy to represent it today here. I know Vas was busy, and that's the reason I'm here. But I always love to interact with this wonderful, wonderful group of students who are young, who are so much passionate about the things that you guys are doing. And you're coming from all parts of the globe. So that makes it even more beautiful and wonderful, right? With different time zones. And you can see it yourself in the chat. Somewhere it's 10 a.m., somewhere it's 11 a.m., somewhere it's 7:30 p.m. in India. And I'm an Indian, right? I'm an Indian American. So obviously, and very recently I took the trip to India. So, and my dad is now there with me right now. So I got him from there to here just because he wasn't feeling well. So obviously, I understand family and everything. So I know what Vas is going through and what many of the Ukrainians are going through right now. So because those of us who have families abroad, there's always that tension, that things that keeps going on in the background. So my prayers are with Ukraine and all the students who are there from Ukraine, all the best for you. Hopefully peace will be there in the region. So with that said, Vaz, do you want to say something? I could see your video.
Just a big thank you to everyone for your support. It matters at this stage, so at this time. And evidently the world is a sort of shaky thing. So you would think that a stable country like Ukraine would be always stable, and then all of a sudden it's not. So I guess, yeah. So don't take for granted the safety and security of the place where you are. It is a big deal. Yeah. Thank you everyone for the support.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I know we are going through, or we are witnessing some of the things that we should not be witnessing. So obviously, I hope things are better and peace is there. All right. With that said, let's get back to the business, right? And we are here to talk about the Porter's Five Forces model. Normally, when I teach Porter's Five Forces model, I also teach something called VALS model or the VALS framework, because these go hand in hand. One goes for the company, other goes for the customers. But for now, I think since I have limited time, I'm going to restrict my discussion on the Porter's Five Forces model. So with that said, Rafael, can I share my screen? Is it possible?
Yes, you can.
Okay, let me try. Guys, can you all see my screen at the moment?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great, perfect. So here's a quick snapshot of how a Porter's Five Forces model looks like, right? So Michael Porter, the guru of management, right? He gave this model, which is basically for the five forces that acts on the companies, right? So in a company, in a global business environment, when we have a business, when we have a company, they witness these five forces acting on them all the time. So let's talk about all these forces one by one. So one is called the bargaining power of, let's start with the buyers, bargaining power of buyers. What do you mean by that? Just by the term, can anyone tell me what does it mean? Again, this is one of the forces that acts on the company. So whether it's Amazon or Facebook or TikTok or Twitter, these forces are acting all the time on these companies, big or small, doesn't matter. So what do you mean by the bargaining power of buyers? Can anyone tell me? Go ahead, try. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong.
Yes, feel free to open your mics and talk. Okay, guys.
Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts rather than read them. Just because, it's difficult to see the chat, what's happening in the chat right now. So I would just say it. Doesn't matter, just say it. Come on, guys, anyone. What do you mean by bargaining power? What is a bargaining power, first of all? Anyone? I could see some of the beautiful faces here. Come on, speak.
No volunteers? Hello, Juliana, you can go.
Yeah, go ahead, Juliana. I could see a lot of, I don't know, I'll have to look at the faces and then ask them to say something. I could see Louis here, Louis van der Horst. You are the first one that comes on my screen. Do you want to say something? What is the bargaining power? What does it mean?
The power the buyers have to negotiate.
Perfect, very good. And how do you negotiate as a buyer? You go to the market and you start negotiating for the item, right? You start negotiating on the price. Is that correct?
Well, often in this economy, buyers in some industries don't have a lot of power to negotiate.
Okay, got it.
Anshu, if I may give an example using
Go
the
ahead.
current Ukraine-Russia context. So as you may know, Russia is the main supplier of natural gas to Europe. And natural gas is supplied through a pipe. So it's not like oil, you just load it on a tanker and you ship it anywhere. Natural gas is shipped by a pipe. And so you have the seller on one end of the pipe and the buyer on the other end of the pipe. And so that gives a tremendous bargaining power to the seller or supplier, because if the supplier, it's the only supplier and the only one that has the pipe connected to the gas source. And so if the supplier says, I'm going to cut off your product if you don't pay me more, the buyers often don't have much to say against it, because, what can you do if that's the only seller, essentially the only supplier. On the other hand, because it does require a pipe, so Russia sells its natural gas primarily to Europe. And in a way, buyers also have quite a lot of power. So if Europe were to say, hey, Putin, we don't want your gas, he wouldn't really have anywhere else to sell it, because again, there is no pipe. I think there is like some pipeline going to China, but other than that, that's basically it. So in a way, the buyers also have a lot of bargaining power. If they were, to talk as a unified front and said, we're not going to buy your gas unless the price is this, or unless whatever the demands they have, in a way, the supplier also will not have much bargaining power. And so it's kind of interesting war of threats, I guess, or bargaining powers. And so depending on who's in the office, either one side or the other side has a lot of power, but it is a lock sort of, zero-sum game. So you cannot just, I guess you do have some alternatives such as liquid gas, what do they call it? Liquefied natural gas.
Yeah,
but that's still, much more expensive, much more difficult to transport. And so you have this kind of interesting situation with the bargaining power of suppliers and buyers going on in that part of the world.
Absolutely, great example. And so basically by Dr. Taris's example, you got to know that buyers and suppliers sort of are connected, right? So when we're talking about the bargaining power of buyers, we're also talking about the bargaining power of suppliers, right? So buyers, for example, just a basic, simple example, when you go to a store and you're buying, let's say, cosmetics for girls, right? Or shoes for boys, you're looking for deals. You're looking for SALE, the sale, right? You're looking for those discounts, right? So what happens now? Again, this is a question for the group. What happens when the bargaining power of buyers is high? Is it good for the company if the bargaining power of buyers is high, or is it good for the company when the bargaining power of buyers is low? Remember, buyers are the customers like you guys. You're going to a store, you're asking for deals, you're looking for something, you're saying, oh, here is, let's say, Louis Vuitton. Let me not talk about Louis Vuitton because that's expensive. But let's say there is L'Oreal, right? And L'Oreal products are now available, buy one, get one free, right? Vis-a-vis, let's say, Revlon, where the products are not that, like you are not getting that deal. So as a buyer, you would go ahead and pick up a deal vis-a-vis no deal. So what happens for a company when the bargaining power of the buyers is high? Is it good or bad? That's the question. Once again, let me repeat the question. If the bargaining power of buyers, if me as a buyer, my bargaining power is high, then what does it mean for the company? Good or bad? Come on, guys, think about it. Right now, I can see
I think it's like bad, because like if you sell it at a certain price, that means you want to make profit, right? But if the customers have the power to bargain for a cheaper price, that may mean that you may not even profit, or you may even like lose money. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very good. Good thought. So if the bargaining power of the buyers is high, that means they're looking for those negotiations, for the deals, for the discounts all the time, which means you as a company are cutting into your bottom line. You are cutting into your profits, right? And that is not good for the company. So as a company, remember, if you guys ever think of starting your own company or your own startup, you will always want that the bargaining power of buyers should be low or to whatever extent possible, because there's a term called lock-in buyers. So you want to lock in your buyers. You want to make sure that your buyers come to you all the time. At the same time, you also want to make sure that their bargaining power is not high, but it's low, right? They are not able to negotiate. For example, when you talk about luxury goods, right? Or even let's talk about Tesla. You don't bargain for Tesla, right? You don't look for deals. Even for Apple, Apple doesn't give any kind of deals even in a Thanksgiving season, right? There are products, there are other companies that gives deals, but not Apple. Apple products are always the same, whether you buy it right now or you buy it in the Christmas or Thanksgiving, it doesn't matter. So this company, Apple, has sort of locked in their buyers for life, I would say, because their buyers are so like passionate about Apple, that they're loyal customers, right? They keep coming back with Apple products all the time. Those who hate Apple are on the other side of the spectrum, but those who love Apple are the people who want to buy Apple all the time. So what is happening in that case is that bargaining power of buyers is low, which is good for the company, and the company has locked in the buyers for a long time, not a long period of time. I wouldn't say for life, but for a long period of time, right? So that is a good thing. So from a company's perspective, if the bargaining power of buyers is low, that's great. But from a buyer's perspective, if their bargaining power is more, then they're getting good deals. So that's good for them. So understand that there's a dynamic that's happening between buyers and the company all the time. Am I clear with that, everyone? Did we get the scenario of the bargaining power of buyers? And again, Dr. Chara's example was brilliant, where he was talking about Russia's pipeline and how is Russia in the entire dynamic of what's happening right now. All right, let's now switch over to the bargaining power of suppliers. So what happens? Remember, suppliers are on the upstream side of the company and the buyers are on the downstream side of the company, right? So when you have suppliers, right? They supply the products to the company and then the company further sells those products. Like, they'll do something in the assembly line. For example, let's say if there's a car. So car company is not making the entire car by itself, right? They will have some kind of electrical gadgets in the car, which is taken from an electrical supplier. They will have, let's say, the tires, which are coming from a tire supplier, right? And then after they assemble all the products together, then they sell it to the customer or to the buyer, right? So the suppliers, what happens if the bargaining power of suppliers is high? Think about it. Is it good for the company or is it bad for the company? Come on. Again, I'll have to go to Rien. Is that you, Kim?
Yeah, it's Rian. But yeah, I think it'll be bad for the company because like if the suppliers have a lot of say in how much the company has to pay, and if let's say the company aren't able to sell like everything they have bought from the supplier out, that would also be a loss for the company. Yeah. And if the bargaining power of suppliers is high and the bargaining power of buyers is high, then it's like really, really bad for the company because the company will be like losing on both sides.
Absolutely,
And, like,
that's right.
Not making any profit.
Absolutely. So that means again for the suppliers, the bargaining power should be on the lower side so that the company can lock in the suppliers and the suppliers keep working with the company without eating into the profits for the company, right? Does it make sense? So again, think about it. If you have one sole supplier, then is it good or bad? If you as a company, you have one sole supplier who supplies you a particular product that you need to make your own big product, then do you think that's good or bad?
Like if it's a big company, it will be really bad. But if it's like a starting company, it will be like a way to save if it's necessary to have other suppliers depending on the product you're selling.
Absolutely. And who is it that's talking? I can't see you, my dear.
Not yet. The Wi-Fi is bad, so I'm turning off the camera for saying the presentation well.
Okay, so what's your name? Say your name.
Juliana.
Juliana? Okay, Juliana, great thought. Yes. So that's the point, as the big companies, whether you talk about Apple, Facebook, or any other big company that you have, their suppliers will be, they have a multitude of suppliers. So if there's one supplier who's acting too much or too high or too pricey, then they will leave the supplier and go on to the next one, right? It's only for a smaller company where the struggle is because they won't have so many suppliers. And as a result, the bargaining part of the suppliers could be high enough. Remember the case of Walmart. So I don't know if you guys, Walmart as a company, if you talk about that, they have number of suppliers. There's never that one single supplier that they're dependent on. In fact, they have the suppliers who compete against themselves just to be on the Walmart shelves, right? And that's how Walmart controls or curtails the power, the bargaining power of suppliers. They make sure that they have a good competition within the supplier segment so that the suppliers compete to be there on the Walmart shelves, right? And that's where, again, so remember, from a company's perspective, the bargaining power of buyers should be low so that they lock in the buyers. And similarly, the bargaining power of suppliers should be low or curtailed so that they can lock in the suppliers, right? And that's good for the company. So individually for buyers or suppliers, if the bargaining power is high, that's good for them. But as a company, if I am a company, then for me, it's needed that I control or curtail the bargaining power of buyers as well as the bargaining power of suppliers. Are we good with that? We all understand that, right? So if their bargaining power is low, the buyers and suppliers, and that's very good for the company, because as a company, I would want my buyers and suppliers to be loyal to me and at the same time not demanding high prices from me, right? Okay, the next thing. So the third force that's acting on the company simultaneously is the threat of substitutes as well as the threat of new entrants, right? Let's talk about the threat of the substitutes. What do you mean by substitutes? Let's say if you have an urge of drinking coffee and coffee is not available, what do? You go for maybe tea or maybe water, right? So those are substitutes for coffee. Now, if a product has a lot of substitutes, then obviously it's not good. So let's say if you have a company and you have a product and the product has multiple substitutes out there, then that's not good for the company because basically as a company, we know that, if the customer doesn't get the deal or the kind of things that they're looking from one particular company, they have a choice and they can always go to a substitute, which is like a toned down version of the product. So if I'm talking about coffee, obviously with coffee, my substitute would be either water or tea or any other beverages, right? So, or hot beverages, right? So that's where the substitute is. So as a company, I'm always worried about what are my substitutes because I know those substitutes will be cheaper in price for my customer or for my buyer, right? So there's always a threat that lingers on the company all the time, the threat of substitutes. And then we have the threat of potential new entrants. So as a company, if you're talking about Facebook, currently what's happening with Facebook? What is Facebook mostly worried about? Tell me. Is the Facebook worried about LinkedIn or Twitter? Which particular social media is the Facebook fighting right now or worried about right now? Let me see how much you guys read business. I know you all have Facebook accounts or Instagram accounts, right? So tell me, what is the Facebook's major worry at the moment? Come on, guys. Think about it.
Is it TikTok? Because I would say like
100%.
I would say like maybe Instagram, but then I remember like Instagram is actually under Facebook. So yeah,
Instagram is a part of Facebook. Facebook is very smart, right? Facebook has this Facebook. Of course, now they call Meta, right? So Meta Platforms has this Facebook, which started with the younger buyer, or like the younger customers or younger people, and now it's moved on to older people, right? So suddenly the dynamics on Facebook has changed. It's now gone from, it used to be like 15 to 30, and now it's actually gone from 30 plus to now 40 plus, right? A lot of your grandmothers may be on Facebook just watching you guys, right? But Facebook has took over Instagram in 2012 because it knows that Instagram has the potential of that young audience capture, right? So Instagram captures you guys. Most of you have Instagram pages. You love to post your pictures. Love those filters which are available on Instagram. So all of that is great. Currently, Facebook's main worry is this new entrant in the market that's TikTok with all the videos and everything, and it's targeting much younger audience. So TikTok is not targeting the teenager, like it's not targeting the younger audience or the millennials or the teenagers. It's targeting tweens. It's targeting people who are just entering the teen world, right? Like 11, 12-year-olds. Those are the people who are on TikTok. And that's what Facebook's main potential worry right now is, because that's a new entrant and that's the market that Facebook wants to capture, right? So that's where, as a company, you're always worried about the threat of new substitutes or the threat of new entrants. Am I clear with these four forces so far? Any questions? Are we good so far? Perfect. And then, of course, we have something called in the middle, that's the rivalry amongst competitors, right? So this is where, of course, there's a huge rivalry that happens. I know, I'm not sure if you guys followed what happened between Apple and Samsung, right? There was a big rivalry in the cell phone market or the smartphone market between Apple and Samsung, right? Can anyone, do you guys remember what happened? I think this was 2 years ago, but do you remember what happened? Anyone? What was a big rivalry for which they were even suing each other? So Apple sued Samsung in the court for that particular rivalry that's going on. Any ideas? Why did that happen? What was the main purpose? What were the reasons that inflamed that rivalry? Anyone? Apple and Samsung, right? They are the major competitors in the smartphone market, right? As I was saying earlier, people who love Apple, they love Apple products. They keep, and I'm one of the big believers of Apple, so I have my Apple iPhone all the time. But my husband is into Samsung and is into the other what is it called, the Android category, right? So Apple sued Samsung on this particular, they have this home button screen, and the way they were like, they had this the interface and all of that, and they said that Samsung has copied it from them, right? And sort of it was taken to the courts of law. There was a huge rivalry that happened. And then finally, Samsung was made to pay some billions of dollars to Apple. And I don't know if you guys have followed that news, but Samsung paid those billions of dollars in pennies. So they sent the truckload of pennies to Apple, for fulfilling that particular law thing that they were supposed to pay. So whatever it was, whatever the case was, the rivalry was very strong. But I don't know if you guys know this, but Samsung also happens to be a great alliance partner for Apple. And how's that? Samsung actually is a supplier for these Apple screens. So the screens that we see here, this is where Samsung has provided the chips to Apple as a supplier. So even though there's a strong rivalry in the cell phone market or the smartphone market between Samsung and Apple, but Samsung also is a very strategic supplier to Apple, right? And that thing still stays, even though Apple has many other suppliers from all parts of the world, but Samsung happens to be one of them. So there is that, even though there's a rivalry, there's also a sort of alliance between these two major companies that we're talking about, right? So when we talk about rivalry amongst competitors, we also say something called, if you can beat them, join them, right? That means if you can beat your competitor, make some alliance, join the competitor, do something where that rivalry is not too strong. You see my point? So if you go to the major airlines, right? If I'm talking about the airline industry, Delta Airlines has formed this huge alliance with Air France, right? So that you guys as a customer, you get the benefit of flying Delta from the US, and then you can go to France, and then from France, you can get a connecting flight to any part of the world. So all these alliances that they form, which is actually the basis, this started from the rivalry thing, but now there's an alliance between those competitors. And that has resulted in a positive fruits for the customers, for the audience, for buyers like all of us, right? So if I'm buying Delta, and if I'm looking at flying by Delta, but I'm looking at, let's say, flying to Indonesia, right? Then what will Delta do for me is that Delta will get me a ticket from here to France. So there'll be a stopover in France. And then from France, because there's a connection that Delta has between, the Delta Airlines in the US and the Air France in France. Then there'll be a connection, and then I'll be able there's a stopover, and I change a flight. The next time I'll be changing the flight in France, I'll be flying Air France, and then from there I'll go to Indonesia. So even without me knowing that there is that alliance that is there between these two companies, I get the benefits of those alliances as a customer. And that's where you can actually stop the rivalry amongst competitors. So if you happen to be a startup or a new company and you're looking at all these 5 forces, of course, you know that the bargaining power of buyers and suppliers need to be controlled, need to be low. The threat of the substitutes and the potential new entrants, you have to watch them all the time and again see what you can do for that. And if there's a major rivalry that you have with a competitor, then try to form an alliance with the competitor. Am I clear with these 5 forces, everyone? So far, so good. There's one more slide that I have, and these are the various marketing strategies that you can do for controlling or for actually, looking into these Porter's 5 forces. We have a cost leadership strategy, differentiation strategies, innovation, growth, and alliance. And when we as a company, so this was one of my roles when I was a marketing director at Lufthansa German Airlines and even at Hyundai Motors India, I was actually doing this. So I was looking into these Porter's 5 forces model, which are right here: bargaining power of customers, bargaining power of suppliers, rivalry of competitors, threat of new entrants, threat of substitutes. And then I was mapping it with these important strategies that we get from marketing or from management, right? Differentiation. How is my company's product differentiated? And how can that lead to controlling any of these 5 forces? Similarly, cost leadership. So for example, if I'm talking about Walmart makes sure that they have the cost leadership. They provide or they try to give their customers the lowest price possible and give them the multitude of choice and options. And that's how, through their cost leadership strategy, they try to control the bargaining power of customers and they try to control the bargaining power of suppliers. And that's what they do all the time. Similarly, Apple goes for innovation strategies. They come up with these new products all the time, whether it's Apple iPad, iPhone, smartphone, whatever, the smartwatch by Apple. It's all innovation. It's all innovation to the core. And that's how they capture their audience. So they say we'll demand the highest price possible as Apple, but then they're giving you the best product in the market. And that's how they're controlling the bargaining power of their customers, right? If you look at Amazon, their alliances, their strategy is always the growth and innovation strategies, and that's how they control the bargaining power of suppliers and even the rivalry of competitors, right? Alliance, again, these major companies, when they have a new product in the market or a new company in the market that could be a threat to them, what do? They either form alliance or they take over that company. So I'm sure you guys must have followed Facebook and how Facebook took over WhatsApp. And this was in 2014, 2014 or 2016, I'm a little lost in there. But when Facebook took over WhatsApp, it paid about $20 billion for taking over WhatsApp. And normally at that time, the acquisition cost was about, in billions of dollars, like 1 billion, 2 billion. No one had gone into the double digits in $1 billion when Facebook did the takeover of WhatsApp. And the reason they did that is because they saw the potential of WhatsApp. They knew WhatsApp is famous in Asian market as well as in Latin American market. And so they took over WhatsApp and it was a good deal for them. So again, they tried to form an alliance with a new, a new company over there because they could see the potential of the company and Facebook could see that WhatsApp could be a future threat to them. And that's why they took over WhatsApp and acquired WhatsApp instantaneously, right? So this is where the marketing people or the management people, when they are dealing with these 5 forces of Porter that you see right here, they keep mapping their own business strategies that you see here with these 5 forces over here. Does that make sense, everyone? Are we in alliance with it, right? Do we understand now what the Porter's 5 forces model is? Any questions on Porter's 5 forces? All right, perfect. I'm going to stop sharing now. How do I stop
You
sharing?
guys are sure that you don't have any questions because you're going to put into practice all the things that you learned right now. So is there any question? Now is the time.
Absolutely, yeah. And you can always email me. Let me give you my email in the chat. I'll be more than happy to get to your questions in my email. So that's my email. That's for everyone. So if you have any questions later on or you feel like discussing it more, please feel free to email me and I'll be more than happy to talk over on my email, right? But it was lovely meeting you guys here. Thank you for your time. I had got to go right now, but I really enjoyed the session with you guys. So have a great one. And those from Ukraine, our best wishes and our prayers are with you. All right. And I'd love to see you all. Thank you. And Rafael, you can
Thank
always
you.
count on me. If you want me back again, I'll be more than happy to be back.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anshu. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good one. Take care, guys. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you. So before we start, do you guys have any questions regarding the program? Is everything clear? Everything clear? So hello, Dr. B. Do you want to say something? You are unmuted.
Unmute. Hi, guys. I just wanted to say thank you for Dr. Arora. That was a fantastic explanation of the Porter's 5 forces. And I didn't know that Dr. Vos Taras was going to do a cameo. So thank you for that, Dr. Taras. I was on the messenger earlier with Julia. And as you guys know, Julia is the executive administrator for X-Culture. And Julia is actually what did she say the town was? In the Ukraine. They're safe, they're underground. And you guys know that Volodymyr is Julia's husband, and he is our IT manager. He's the one who manages all of our technologies when you guys get mass letters, your certificates, all of the anything that involves information technology. That's Volodymyr. And again, Volodymyr and Julia are married, so they're both safe right now. They've been underground for about 3 days. And I asked her what she wanted me to convey to you guys. And basically she just asked for all of us to pray for peace and to pray for their safety and to pray for the country of the Ukraine. So I just wanted to come in and relay that message to you. And honestly, we are an organization that want to, hang on a second, that want to teach you guys how to be peaceful, culturally intelligent, amazing people. And now is the time for us to really join together and be a global family and take care of one another. And really the only thing that I can think of is to pray for one another and be kind to one another. So please think of Julia and Volodymyr. They are a part of our X-Culture family and they are in harm's way. And the only thing we can do today is to be thoughtful of them, okay? So Rafael, I'll see you at the 10 o'clock meeting.
Thank you, Dr. B. Thank you very much.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye. Thank you. So guys, now I will divide you guys into breakout rooms. And first, let me share the challenge. You guys will use the same challenge as last week. I don't know if you guys remember. It's regarding X-Culture Academy. But now you guys are going to build the Porter's 5 force of X-Culture Academy. Is that fine? Is everything clear? So I just shared the document. Can you please open it and start the work with your team? So first, just introduce yourself because it will be a different thing for today. Okay, just introduce yourself and you guys can start working right away. Is that fine? Okay, so I divide everyone and see you in 50 minutes. It's not much, but that's the only time that we have for today. Okay, so see you guys. Let me open the rooms. You guys can start joining. Hello, is everything okay?
Hi. Yeah, everything's fine.
So I just want you guys to introduce yourselves and maybe start working on their own 5 force Porter's 5 force of X-Culture Academy. Is that fine?
Yeah. Okay.
Can you guys already introduced yourselves or not?
Yeah, we did already.
Oh, so it's fine. So you guys can start working right away. Maybe
Yeah.
Kin can be informal leader for this team, so you guys can work together. Is that fine, Kin?
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
will be passing throughout the room, so if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, see you.
Thank you. See you.
Hi, Rafael.
Hello, is everything okay here?
Yes, I'm just giving them a little bit to kind of read through the documents.
Okay. Probably they all know a little bit about the
Yeah,
challenge.
so
Okay, so just take the moment and you guys can start working now on Borders 5 Force. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, let me know. Okay, I'll be passing throughout the rooms.
yes, thank you.
Maybe also our. Hi, Rafael.
Sorry, you
I
can
personally
continue.
think
Hey.
I personally think that like client companies, they are also our suppliers because even though they do need help, but like without them, we may also not have this international business program as well. Yeah. So they kind of like supply us with our problems. Yeah. And then we have to face like solve the problems together. Yeah. And then so we've done two, we still have oh dear, we're running out of time. We have threats of substitute products. So maybe Arsene, you want to try that one?
I
That's
really
it,
don't
right?
know any like business saying it like that or something that can be compared with exposure really. Like there isn't many places for giving like experience in this way. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't know
Mhm.
like if they really have competition.
So I agree with you, Juliana. So you say that like the sorry, sorry, you said that there aren't like you can't really find any other similar international business programs and that can give you this kind of experience. So yeah, that's one way to go about this. I think that's one very good perspective. Um, for me, I personally think like some people may choose to go to other programs such as like internships. So yeah, although it's not a direct substitute, it may be like indirect substitute because there are still internships and programs. It just helps in different things. Like one is international business, another one is maybe for studies. So it kind of depends on like the person itself as well. Yeah. Christiana, do you want to add anything?
I just want to add that the way you are thinking it's correct because even though there is no similar project like us, there are others competitors as you should have. So just you keep the way that you are working. You are following the right path. Okay.
Thank you. Arsene, do you have anything to say?
Hello.
Hi.
Were you guys able to start?
Yeah,
Or,
we just shared the document, so
Okay. Did you guys start to create the Forest 5 Force?
no, not yet.
No. So let me help you guys.
Thank you.
Okay. I understand that at first can be a little bit scary to talk about it because maybe you don't know that much about the topic, right? But don't feel that way. It's just how it works in next culture and you get used to it, okay? Because I actually also did the culture, but as a university student. And at first I was very shy and afraid to talk in English because it's not my main language, but don't feel bad about it, okay? Just try to improve your English and also learn international business with us and try to speak. And most of the time, you guys will get the things correct. It may be just say something that's not right, but it's fine. We are here to we are all here to learn. Okay, so take this opportunity to practice your English and also try to learn everything that we are providing to you. Okay. So first of all, bargaining power of buyers for X-culture. Do you guys think it's high or low? The buyers here are the students. So what do you think?
Can you repeat, please?
The bargaining power of buyers related to X-culture. What do you think?
Well, I don't think it's very high. I mean, you have to depends, but I'm not sure.
Why? Why do you think it's not high?
Oh, because it's I don't know. I'm really just guessing. I had a problem and I had to leave during the lecture.
Oh.
So I actually missed most of it. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be here anyway.
Bargaining power is related to number of customers, price sensitivity, buyers' ability to find a new substitute, difference between competitors, can be anything like that. Do you think that?
Yeah, I don't think agriculture has many competitors. I don't know. I've never seen a program quite like it.
So you think like bargaining power of buyers are high or low?
No, I don't know.
This depends on the other people. Some people can, some people don't be able to buy, but if you want that, you can, you have to buy it because it will help you on as your life in the future.
Yes, that's correct. When we talk about Porter's 5 force, is usually which perspective you are looking for. Okay, if you think like that X-culture does not have any competitors and the price is affordable for everyone, so the bargaining power of buyers are low. Okay, because they don't have anything else to choose except X-culture. Okay, but from the other perspective, X-culture does not have a similar competitors, but there are a lot of other competitors. Maybe the students can go for a camp, or maybe for internship, or maybe for travel abroad, or exchange, can be exchange program. So they can be considered as a competitor for us. Okay, wait a minute, keep breakout rooms open. So if we look for that perspective, the bargain power of buyers will be high because they can choose different things for their own perspective and for their own goals. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the end, you will need to balance this kind of different perspective and try to understand the bargaining powers of buyers and also for the suppliers. Okay. So let's continue. So threat of new entrants, do you think it's high or low for X-culture Academy? Anyone?
Kind of high, I don't know.
Why?
Probably because many people like I don't really know. I'm really guessing at this point,
Yeah,
but
no, but I understand that your guessing has some thoughts behind it, right?
yeah. But I
That's
don't know if the thoughts are really like accurate.
no, that's fine. I'm here to teach you guys about that, but I need to understand what are your thoughts behind this guessing. Can you please explain a little bit? Because probably it's right.
Okay, because man, I it's kind of high because of how a lot because there's a lot of people like entering. I don't know for that. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
really know how to say it, but
that's not a problem. You get used to it. But if you think that X culture is a program that's easy to uh, imitate, yeah, so it can be a really high threat for new entrants because it's easy to formulate this kind of program, right? So it can be considered as a high threat for new entrants. Is that what you're thinking or not?
yeah, it's because like there's many like other um, seminars and webinars that are similar, like in terms of the content and what are like teaching on those seminars, and yeah, it's kind of high.
Yeah. So when you think
And
about, sorry.
and if we see about and if we see on others companies and maybe others groups, there are many that are using plagiarism that can use our program, and it will be good for their product and costs, but not for us because we can stay at low, and other people will forget about us.
Yes, that's true. It can happen. So whenever you think about threats on new entrants, there are a couple of topics that you might find interesting to search and look for. Okay, so there is barriers to entry. How many barriers do we have to do something like that? Economies of scale, how much it will cost for uh, a company to build and scale this kind of projects. Brand loyalty, as mentioned by Dr. Anshu regarding Apple, right? Because there is a very low threat of new entrants for Apple because there are a lot of Apple lovers, right? Also, we can talk about capital requirements. So if it's a technology company, it will cost a lot to entry in this area. Also, we can talk about cumulative experience, government policies, access to distribution channels, and also switching costs. Okay. Unfortunately, we won't have time to talk about threat of substitute products and rivalry among competitors, but I just wanted you guys to understand a little bit how to do it. Okay. And do you
Can I
guys,
say?
yes?
But if other companies that plagiarize Apple product, they have to consider their quality because other people will looking at their product, and if it will have low quality, there will be no chance to increase uh, their chance to uh, increase their. Wait a minute.
No problem. To increase their competitivity, their customer range. I,
Their influence on other companies.
oh yeah, that's correct. That's correct. I will just close all the rooms, okay? So everyone can join the main room and we can end this session. Just one suggestion here. I would say to everyone, wait a minute. Hello guys, I hope you had the time to talk to each other and also to discuss Borders 5 Force. Was it enough time?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was plenty. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. So just one suggestion here before we end. I know that at first can be a little bit scary to speak in English because a lot of you English is not the main language. Okay, so but take this opportunity to practice your English and also to learn international business, and don't be afraid to talk. Okay, everyone here is here to learn, so they won't be judging you. They all want you guys to improve and also to grow. So don't be scary. Okay. Do you guys have any questions regarding the program? Is everything clear? Next weekend, we will have the orientation webinar for the practical phase. So please stay tuned to your email because this next webinar is very important. We will explain everything that you guys will face throughout the practical phase. Okay. And the practical phase will start on March 7. Okay. That's it, guys.
Yep.
So
Okay.
thank you for joining us today and see you next weekend. And if you guys
Thank
have any
you.
question, just send me, you can send a message to academy@xculture.org. And also, if you guys want to change your emails for the practical phase, just let me know. Okay, for the practical phase, we can change it for you. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
So that's it, guys. Thank you. See you next
Thank you
weekend.
for the
Thank you.
webinar.
Bye.
Okay, thank
Bye.
you. Bye.